Hello there, everyone. My name is Oliver V. Below me, we have Mr. Jack Dax, and we're here to show you the final quarterfinals match for our league final bracket in the May League. Today, we have two really interesting decks. We have Quirios, who was actually tied for 4th seed going into this, with 4-color Stoneblade, basically splashing red for K-Command. And then we have Dows with the good old Rakdos Goblins. Mr. Jack Dax, how are you doing today, and who do you think is going to be favored going into this game 1?
I'm doing pretty good. Having a very good day. Always an exciting day when I get to watch some Legacy Magic. Favorite in game 1 here, I think Goblins. Honestly, I really like the explosiveness of Goblins' deck and also the control factor. Stoneblade has a lot of mana sources, and of course, if you get screwed on your mana source, you don't have Arkham's Astrolabe anymore to bail you out. So it could be really anyone's game, but I really prefer and favor the Goblins deck here.
I have to agree with you. So we know that Goblins is able to kind of have this. It's multifaceted, right? You're able to have these explosive Goblin Lackey starts, but then also the grind game for Goblins is just amazing. When you start chaining Goblin ringleaders into one another, I mean, there's no way for a control deck to be able to keep up with that much value unless you have sweepers, right? And the big issue right now for Quirios is Quirios actually has no main deck sweepers. There are some pretty cool utility cards, or cards that are able to maybe be able to keep up, namely the Jite, the Umezawa Jite seems like one of the most important cards on Quirio's side for this matchup. But I gotta say, I would love to see a K-Command getting that 2-for-1 value and getting to blow up a vial and kill one of the little goblins.
So we're going to see Dows go down to 6 from what I'm seeing, and Quirios seems to be keeping 7. Quirios will be on the play because Quirios was the higher seed in our top 8. Had a better match wins in their pool. And all sorts of other good stuff. We're going to start with a Brainstorm. I think we're going to start with a Ponder Star, and I think it was off straight up a Tundra. There's some lighting issues, but we'll try and tell you the best action that we can. But I believe that it is a Tundra.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the downsides, of course, is me and Mr. Jack Dax, we are not live with the players right now. This was previously recorded by one of our mods. Big shout out to Chaotic Bear for going ahead and recording this match, getting the overlay set and recording life totals for us so we can come back and commentate on a later point. But one of the downsides of it is there's no adjusting it at all for us while we sit here in the booth.
Yeah, unfortunate. It seems like they're resolving the Ponder still. I believe it was a Tundra. It seemed like it was a Tundra from based on what I saw. There's a little bit of white in the art, so I can see that it probably is a Tundra.
No, absolutely.
It seems like there was some kind of issue with lighting. Yep. So Quirios and Dows must be deciding like, hey, there's some lighting issues. Can you please darken it somehow? And it seems like the solution was to put, like, I don't know, a blanket or something.
Hey, you know, whatever gets it there. But you were so right, Mr. Jack Dax. We do see that it was a Tundra that was going ahead and casting the Ponder.
Yeah, it seems like probably Chaotic, Dows, and Quirios all agreed, I can't really see your board. It's too bright. So they came up with a solution that worked. It's a bit darker now, but we can at least see the cards. There's no sun glare.
That is very true. We're not getting the reflection.
And we have a light. I will want to say, I really love the Brainstorm mat. It's one of my all-time favorites. I actually bought one off of my cousin because I really wanted one. Ooh, I do like this turn 1 Goblins play over here for the Aether Vial. It is oh so precious. And I believe those are, what, Odyssey?
I'm not so
Odyssey
sure.
lands? Or, because they are foil. I can see the star.
A fantastic force of negation target for Quirios there. You're not going to be able to get that many more in this matchup. Go figure when you're going against a tribal creature deck. There's not a lot of... But hitting that turn 1 Vial is fantastic. You really need to force it there or have 2 of the K commands to prevent Dows from just being able to get that huge mana advantage that Aether Vial is able to give. So of note, Quirios, you mentioned his playmat. We've been seeing him rep this playmat a lot over the past couple months. Quirios is one of our pretty regular Saturday tournament grinders. Actually was in the previous invitational, I believe got all the way up to the top 3, if I do recall correctly. And then Dows on the other side, gotta give some props to Dows. Dows has a beautiful Goblins deck. Dows recently was able to fully foil out this Infect deck, was able to pick up the oh-so-elusive 4-foil original Rishadan ports. And has a ton of experience with this. Yeah, the ports were they were a hurdle to get over. Let's put it like that.
Yeah. Bit pricey. Yeah, I went for foil Rishadan ports for Judge foils.
Yeah, Dow's very much wanted the originals, and of course
love the originals. Just,
hopefully we get to see those.
I hope so. We're gonna see a Stoneforge fetch into the Battle Skull, typical as always. I'm assuming the cavern's named on Goblins. That's the most logical assumption here. We're going to see, the T.S. Eliot Wastelands, one of my favorites. It's a poet's wasteland. It was a player reward promo from back in the day. And we're going to see from our lovely recorder is going to put the big old goblin sign for cavern.
Thanks for keeping it clear for us. Just in case there was some other name, right? You could have named horror here. Who really knows? I gotta say, I am really interested by Quirios going ahead and getting the Batter Skull. My initial thought would be to get the Jite. However, I suppose if you don't have a lot of other bodies to back it up, it is just fine to get the Batter Skull and start beating in and switching that life total around. I mean, it definitely is. It's a close decision regardless, right? But I am surprised that we aren't seeing the Jite just because that does seem to be so lights out in certain situations of the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, getting that life total gain here is really important against the Goblins matchup. You really don't want to deal with it. Also, that factor you got to think about not having creatures, and then usually you don't get the Batter Skull on the first turn just because most of the time your Stoneforge gets blown out like right after you cast it, and you get your Batter Skull, and then your Batter Skull sits in your hand forever. That's typically why people don't get the Batter Skull first. That's usually the train of thought. As a longtime Stoneblade player, you always get caught whenever you cast it, and then you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bullet your Stoneforge or something. Ooh, Crater Maker. This is bad.
Now this feels amazing to just blow up the Batter Skull right now. Before Quirios is able to just hold up 3 mana indefinitely for the rest of the game. The other really cool play we missed is the attack in with the Stoneforge. It was seeming like free damage for Quirios. However, we saw Munitions Expert being flashed in to deal 1 damage off the ETB to the Stoneforge, and then block to trade away with the the 1/2 body.
Brutal. And that's an art of a brainstorm you don't see often. It's the actual physical embodiment of a brainstorm, of like an actual storm that's a brain. I think it was from M25 when that was printed. Not everyone's favorite artwork version. It's like the actual storm.
Why do I think it's a Masters version?
Yeah, it's a Masters 25. It's a Masters 25
version. Okay.
The 25th anniversary version. Where it's like the most literal sense of a brainstorm. Very interesting artwork. Not my personal favorite, but it is brainstorm nonetheless. It still does draw 3, put back 2. One of the best cards in Magic. We're going to see another Wasteland hitting the Underground Sea here. We're really trying to keep that black mana out of here. I think Dow's, as we know, it is open decklist, so Dow's is probably trying to keep Quirios off of the Baleful Strix, I imagine, and off of potential Drown in the Loch or Thoughtseize.
Especially after the initial Wasteland, going ahead and stymieing a black source as well. We just want to keep pushing down that same line, right? Just eliminate as many black sources as we can from Quirios potentially. That is both Underground Seas gone at this point, correct? So the only black sources that we have left
a Scrubland, and you get the Triome.
Yep, and then also the Swamp, right? Although, does that Triome? No, yeah. The Triome is the Jeskai one, right?
Is it the Jeskai Triome? Let me double check.
Yeah, so it's the Scrubland and the single Swamp.
It's just the Scrubland and the Swamp, then. That is very difficult to get through. For Snapcastering, I imagine probably like a Brainstorm or something, right?
Yeah, probably another cantrip. I could see us pondering here.
Yeah, we could ponder. Not a bad idea. Really, Dow's is in the driver's seat here. Quirios is just trying their best to get somewhere.
Kinda. I mean, at the same time, Dow's has not been able to put on really any pressure. Quirios has all the time to get out from this, I guess, from the stall that they're at. Both players really just staring at each other. And I would actually think that now that Quirios has an actual 2/1 on the battlefield, has been cantripping and sculpting, that Quirios really is the driver's seat here at the moment.
I mean, it just
depends. Ponder, of course, needs to be in exile after being flashbacked.
Yes, it should be in exile. And we see the Rishadan port.
Oh, that beautiful, expensive port. Love to see it.
Unfortunately, because it's not live, you can't tell the players to put the Ponder in exile, but hopefully it will get there at some point soon.
There is another Ponder already in the graveyard.
There it is.
I think we've seen 2. There we go.
Well, now we have
land, access to Black Source. Yep. The one great part about us hitting at this black source, though, is it's made it so drawing a fetch land isn't able to turn on K command, just because there's no land that's that you can get to give you both the black and the red that you need access to.
No bad lands.
Oh yeah.
This is the one time that you want to play bad lands.
And here is the Jite. I wonder if this was in the opening hand potentially.
Yeah, put it back sometime, possibly.
Oh, I'm sorry. We just cast a Stoneforge. I completely missed that. I'm sorry, y'all. My brain is still cloudy at the moment.
Yeah, no, it theoretically could have been in the hand, and Aquarius could have put it away and pondered it off. Because we have seen a lot of shuffle effects. Ooh, we're going to see a Goblin Pile Driver. Very good against blue decks. And we see the Badlands from Goblins this side. Very key, crucial card. For a long time was undervalued. We're going to probably get a Scrubland here, I imagine.
I have to imagine so. I mean, if we're casting the swords off it.
Yep.
Oh, this is getting really scary to be on Dow's side.
Oh, we're cycling. We're cycling a Jump Home Incinerator to kill.
I can appreciate that. But now Quirios is at this point where I think Dow's has 2 cards in hand. Quirios has access to the Jite and a body on board, is able to start getting charge counters on the following turn unless Dow's does something. You could Wasteland here to keep off mana sources. Or no, we're at the end.
You're at the end of Dow's turn, unfortunately.
Yep.
Jite is just going to start doing work if Dow's has no more Credit Makers. Just all depends on what's in his hand.
So we saw the 1 Creator Maker already. There is 1 more in the list. Unfortunately, there is no Trash Master in the main 60 for Dow's list. So that means that the only real way to interact with this Jite is going to be finding the other Creator Maker. The nice part, of course, is that you do have the other Matrons to be able to help you get there. But now we're just going to see kind of what I was worried about in the beginning, right? Where Jite is exactly the card that is needed. Oh, okay.
That's a very good card.
Never mind, this Jite might not be enough. Let's see what is on top.
We're spinning the Great Wheel of Muxus for those who are a little bit newer to Legacy. Goblins got a very big push, and I believe it was Jumpstart is where Muxus came.
Yes, it was.
Okay, Jumpstart. And Muxus is a very, very, very good matchup card for
Goblins. Mons, Matron, oh my goodness, Ringleader.
I think we just hit all Goblins but 1. Jeez.
Oh.
And these will all come into
have
play.
Haste.
Yeah, these will all come into play.
Haste.
And then Ringleader also fetches for some more. There's some triggers here.
And a Matron as well.
Yeah.
What a great Muxus hit. Here I am looking at this empty board state on Dow's side, and I'm just like, well, how do we get back from this? Muxus is the answer. So Muxus is always the answer.
First. So 1 hit. 2 hits. So we get a Ringleader and a Mog War Marshal, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Or it might be a War Leader. I don't remember.
No, that's another Ringleader. Ringleader into Ringleader. The unfortunate thing is
the thing with the hat.
What? Oh, the Pashlik Mons?
Yeah, the thing with the metal hat.
That's a Goblin Lackey.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's an alternate art of Goblin Lackey.
Oh, okay. So we get a Goblin Lackey in hand and then a Ringleader.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing here is we aren't going to be able to actually attack with them likely because I imagine the Jite counters are going to come off before getting to combat to kill the War Chief, the haste enabler here. Just because you're facing down so much damage, that feels like the prime target if you're on Quirios.
Oh, we're getting. That is a very good card to get. It's not the Ringleader, but the black one. Sling Gang.
Oh, yeah, Sling Gang Lieutenant.
Sling Gang's great. If you don't want to win through combat damage, you want to win somehow other way. Looks like we're gonna get a Gem Palm Incinerator from what I'm seeing. Or not. We're making a lot of decisions here. We've looked at a Gem Palm, we've looked at a Sling Gang, but it seems like we're trying to find something else potentially. We're getting another munition set, which I don't blame.
Interesting. I like this. It leaves a body on board. It seems like Dow's is deciding that he very much values trying to hit Quirios' bodies on board to make it so that Jite is no longer going to be active. Going to combat right away and just scooping it up. Really interesting that we didn't see the Jite's counters coming off to... Wait, is there a Lord effect? There was no Lord effect on board, right? I'm not missing that.
There was Ringleader, Pashalik Mons. They definitely would be losing life because Pashalik Mons effects. And I think Pashalik Mons also gives it a 1/1. I need to double check that on the list.
Pashlik Mons just whenever a goblin or Pashlik Mon dies, it deals 1 damage.
Yeah, you start getting chunked. But there was a War Chief on board. Solid Matron. I think that was it.
So we didn't see So we didn't see removing counters to kill the War Chief, which was interesting. But I suppose at that point, Quirios knows there's no sweeper effects. His only way to getting through is with 1-for-1 removal, and you're not going to be able to do that with what is known to be in hand after the ringleader flip, and just that massive, massive threat that's on board. Let's go ahead and let's start talking about sideboard plans.
So
Uh,
from Goblins, we got Karakas, the patent staple. We're not playing this for white men. We're playing this for the remove legendary creature part. Pithing Needle, Pyroblast, 2 Elemental Blast, the good old split, 2 Relic of Progenitus, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Tar Fire, 1 Blood Moon, 1 Trash Master, 1 Mindbreak Trap, and 2 Pyrokinesis. What are we thinking?
So I think that we're expecting this game to, while there's the threat of explosive starts for DAOs, I think that we're expecting this game to be a lot more long and grindy. We know because, or he knows going into this that Quiros is going to be bringing in a lot more removal and actually have access to a little bit of go wide removal in the form of Plague Engineer. But the nice thing is there still are no big sweepers, right? There's no Terminus effect to completely reset the board, but Plague Engineer can be quite annoying. I do wonder if we're going to see the red elemental blast and pyroblast come in. There aren't a ton of targets. You're basically trying to hit the force effects. Or the Teferi, I suppose, possibly blow up a Baleful Strix as well. But there's a possibility that we see those come in. At the same time, I do think that we will be seeing the Goblin Trash Master come in. It's just another ability or another way for you to deal with a Jite or a Batterskull, as well as just being a great lord. And in a certain way, it counteracts a Plague Engineer, right? Where you put up if one Plague Engineer is on Goblins and you get Trash Master, they just are evening each other out at that point.
I do think
I
there's
believe
2
that's
definite
it.
includes. I think there's 2 definite includes in this. I think you're playing Blood Moon, and I think you're playing Goblin Trash Master.
Oh, Blood Moon, of course, is quite fantastic here against this deck that has Swamp, Plains, and 2 islands, and that is it. That is a very good point.
Yeah, I think if you can get an early Blood Moon out and they don't have Force, they are in a very bad way for the rest of their game. I think Goblin Trash Master 100% an include, always an include against Stoneblade decks. The other ones, I could see 1 Reb and 1 Pyroblast if they really feel it's necessary. Ideally, I'd go with probably just at least the Blood Moon and the Goblin Trash Master if you're going to put anything in, and then Pyroblast, and then Reb if you're really worried about Force effects.
So what comes out? Goblin Chain Whirler feels like a good card for you to be taking out in
Yeah.
this, but I'm wondering what the second card is, or potentially third and fourth.
I would take out a Sharpshooter. I take out the Chain Whirler
Oh,
and the
that's true.
Sharpshooter.
That's very true. I missed that card while going over it. Let's jump over to Quirios' side. Quirios has 2 Fatal Pushes, 2 Pyroblasts, 2 Surgical Extractions, 1 Containment Priest, 1 Fracture, 2 Meddling Mage, 1 Kaya Orsov Usurper, 1 Liliana the Last Hope, 2 Plague Engineers, and 1 Sword of Fire and Ice. Mr. Jack Dax, what are you liking out of this sideboard plan?
I'm really liking the Containment Priest here. Liliana the Last Hope is also a very good mid-game card, especially against Goblins. A lot of them are 2/2s or 1/1s. That's usually a good way. Sword of Fire and Ice is always good in this matchup. You know, protection from red is very, very good here. Plague Engineer is probably my double include. If I'm going to do anything, I'm taking out that Hull Breacher. I don't care. Both of them are gone. Plague Engineer. Both of them.
Fatal Push seems like the other easy include
Yeah.
here as well. You need to be able to answer an early lackey just because you know if that threat is still going to be there. While you do already have your Source of Plowshares and potentially the Drown the Lock since you're on the play, you just want to be optimizing on those, right? You want a 1-for-1 with the key cards before they're able to start drowning you in advantage, right? And then have your Force of Wills and other effects that are able to hopefully be able to stop the ringleader massive grind and just overrun your 1v1 or your 1-for-1 plan. That
Yeah.
said, Force Negations feel like easy come out, right? That feels like a
Actually,
super easy one. Potentially some other Force of Wills as well. This is a Cavern deck, along with being a Vile deck as well. So if for me, I think that those are the first cards that I'm looking to cut besides the Hull Breachers.
I'm looking at the Hull Breachers, and then I'm also looking at cards that will not be playable. So Teferi is not really the best in this matchup because you're not really expecting instances or sorceries coming from DAOs. I mean, it's nice to downtick, but you're not really gaining too much value off the Teferis. Same with Claim to Dusk. It's not the greatest in this matchup. So I really could see, you know, any number of Plankings coming out, maybe a Teferi coming out. The Force of Negations and Force of Wills, I could see Force of Negations coming out. Forces are fine. Because, you know, in a pinch, you can still get rid of Aether Vials and other things. I would cut the negations before I cut the wills.
Oh, absolutely. We are seeing one of the at least one of the Force of Will steam still being in. Very likely more of them besides that. But this first Vial not being able to resolve, which is exactly where Quirios wants to be.
But yeah, that's what my theoretical opinion is here. Hull Breacher's not that great. We're not expecting other draw cards. Cling is not that great because we're not expecting
Yeah.
graveyard to matter. And then, really, Teferi's just a card. It's 3 mana for something that doesn't do enough in this matchup. Like, it's nice that it has its static effect, and it's nice to plus it so I can ponder on their turn, but I'm not really gaining enough to the point where I care about it. Compared to the other planeswalkers in this list, like Kaya kills, like Kaya exiles like lackeys and any other thing, like Skirk Proxbuster. There's just some nice good hits there. Kaya's ult is great. Liliana also kills a lot of things, and you're also getting a recursion engine out of Liliana. You can minus it and get creatures back, and then also dump things into your grave to fill up for Snapcaster.
Yeah, there is a really impressive amount of cards for Quirios to be bringing in here for sure. Just like strict upgrades all around.
Oh, there's the lackey.
Getting one Vial in play and one Lackey. However, we are seeing the Stoneforge already threatening the Batterskull. This Lackey is going to have a very hard time getting in and actually getting combat triggers.
Yeah, it's gonna be very difficult in this one. I imagine we'll see the Batterskull come into block.
Looks like Quirio's tanking at the moment, really deciding what he's going to do.
Additionally, you could also just block with a Stoneforge because it is 1/2 versus a 1/1. And it just really depends on if you really want more life gain.
Yeah, I suppose the plus side of doing that is it prevents you from being blown out by a Crater Maker.
Mhm.
So if Dow's just attacks here and you choose to go ahead and flash in the Stoneforge,
Yep.
or flash in the Batterskull, then you're leaving yourself open on this same turn cycle for Dow's to just go Crater Maker and blow it up.
Seems like we're gonna pass back and just immediately make the Batterskull.
Yeah.
At least you'll get a hit in. And you'll gain life. I doubt you'll actually get a real hit in because Lackey's there. I mean, you're not at risk of a munitions expert, thankfully. You are at risk of a Gen Palm, but that's about it. I mean, it's a very precarious situation that you're dealing with, especially considering that 4-color Stoneblade is not playing any Wastelands. But we're
It
gonna
still
top
feels
these.
it still feels free to just do this attack here, right?
Mm-hmm. Seems like we want to Thoughtseize just to see what's in the hand, so that way we don't do anything dumb. Pre-combat Thoughtseize is usually a good spot to be in. Crater Maker, Munitions Expert, Gem Palm, and Ringleader. This is an easy Crater Maker take. There is no other option here.
Feels like it.
Munitions Expert, they can't even cast it. Gem Palm, wow, they get a cycle for a card. You know, Ringleader is kind of scary, but you really need to get rid of Crater Maker because Crater Maker is going to come down and immediately just go by. That's a nice braid that I have.
Yeah, you would be able to hold up mana and prevent it from really going off, but that's not a tax that you want to be putting on yourself. You don't want to be holding up 3 mana for the rest of the game while Dowd is able to just hold up 1 for the rest.
Exactly.
And then just stare at each other and play chicken from that point forward. Uh, Free attack in. I do wonder what else is in Quirio's hands. I think that we have... Or do we just have 2 cards in hand at this point?
I believe it's 1 card, actually.
Oh, okay.
I think we just attack and gain some life. We are down to 16 after all. We need to start gaining some life back off of our fetches and Thoughtseize. Especially since you know they have to block with the Lackey if they want to do anything right. And you get a Vigilant, so there's not really anything to do. Munitions Expert has Flash. You know, it's a 1/1. It deals damage equal to number of goblins on the field, so if it's on the field, it will deal 2 with another goblin. I mean, it's relevant, but it's not gonna kill anything just yet. I mean, it'll kill a Stoneforge if you're really scared of that, but you have mana to play whatever you need.
Yeah, I think that the fear here... No, because it's vigilance. I'm not so sure what we're really thinking about at the moment.
Yeah,
The
there's a
attack feels
Vigi.
free.
It
You don't
is.
have to worry about drawing a black source
Yeah,
to then
it's the
remove the
most
1
free attack
blocker.
that you have. You know, it's 16 to 20 now, reversed.
Player switching life totals there.
Yep.
Always great to see.
Reverse, reverse. And game 1 was taken down by Dallas. I know it's not seen on the on the map, on the play screen here, but it is 1-0 for Dows so far. Seems like we're going to fetch around the potential Blood Moon. Both players know their sideboards, so Quirrus is doing the preemptive actions of, I just want to make sure there isn't any Blood Moons coming in any near my future. I want to be able to cast my spells, please.
Oh, and that's very nice. This Plague Engineer makes it so you need lands into Ringleader, which we're able to see here. The Munitions Expert is really just the ETB effect as it immediately dies, so it only really is going to be...
well, this is a really bad...
we're seeing the Chain Whirler still
I mean,
in.
stealing Chain Whirler is nice, but it's still bad.
Yeah, that is just a 1/1 that we have coming in.
Yeah. I mean, you can kill the Plague Engineer pretty fast, though.
And one last card in hand after playing this fetch land. Let's just keep attacking in. I even say attack with this Plague Engineer at this point, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they can't block. What are they going to do?
Throw it under the 1/1, but they need that there, honestly. Like, at this point, it feels like Dow's line is to go draw another mountain or other red source, play the Chain Whirler, and immediately go and just do a Munitions Expert to hit. Or actually, I suppose you could do Gem Palm Incinerator, and just hit the onboard Plague Engineer that way.
Yep. I'm actually looking at Dow's list, and I cannot believe the pricing of this list. It is $11,000 to own this list in paper. This specific version of the list.
Oh, because it actually has all the foil value, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, except for the Rashad imports, because it lists that as no price value found.
So we are missing the Rashad imports.
The 4 Rashad imports, which are a couple grand, but the Wastelands themselves are 1.2k. The Bloodstained Mires are all Old Border Onslaughts foils, so that's 4 grand. Actually, almost 5 grand there. And then the Badlands are $1,000 together, because there's only 2 on the list. And then the Matrons, because they're 7th edition foils, are $1,000.
I want to look up what this foil price actually is right now.
It's
Mercadian Mask foil.
Rashad import. I think it's like $900
there's one listed as HP for about 800. So let's go ahead and let's
900 times 4.
Yeah, sure. Let's say they're 900 because those are nice quality ones. Those are not HP if I recall correctly. So let's go ahead and add another 3,400 on the total of this deck.
Yeah, we're looking at a nice used car. A very nice used car, 15 grand.
Or half of a new one, let's be totally honest.
Yeah, half of a new one, a nice new car, or a Rolex or so. A very brand new Rolex.
To be clear, I would rather have beautiful Legacy Goblins than a Rolex, but that's just me personally.
That's true. But these are the price comparisons that we get when we get up to this kind of crazy bling. Although Dallas has been doing this for a long time, so they have been happily collecting for quite some time now.
Seeing that beautiful port come down.
Again, for notes, for people who do play Legacy and are new, not every Legacy deck is this expensive. Goblins itself is really not this expensive. This is just Dow's going full on, I want a full foil Goblins list. This list itself can probably be had for about $800, I imagine. $800, $700 at a full 75. Because most of the Goblins are pretty cheap, except for maybe Muxes.
It's really just the Badlands and Caverns and Bloodstained Mires at this point, right?
Yeah, so the Bloodstained Mires normally are probably 30, 20 something per. Wastelands, I think, are 30 to 20 something. Caverns are about 40 to 60, somewhere around there. Badlands are 200 now, I think. 200, 230. The prices have been raising on that. But everything else, like Goblin Lackeys, can be had for $5 a pop. Prospectors, $1 or 30-cent card. Muxus is probably like 15 to 20. And those are your most expensive cards by themselves.
To be fair, also, Legacy Goblins is one of those decks that there's certain decks, let's say Infect, for instance, that you really do need the dual lands. You can't replace that with the shock lands with it being a Daze deck, right?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, you could probably get by playing Legacy Infect just fine with 2 Bloodstained Mires I'm sorry, what are they? Blood Crypts, there we go, over the Badlands if you really wanted to.
Yeah,
And
you
that
could. Or
that
you could
makes
run
the price
basics.
immediately go down to the floor.
You could also run basics. I mean, you really, really don't need the Badlands as much as you think you do. It's like a very minuscule thing because you're already playing 4 Blintz and you're playing 4 Caverns typically. And then some lists don't even play the Caverns. Like I have a Goblins list that doesn't play Caverns because I don't have them, and it works just fine. I mean, the Wastelands and the Shodden Ports are the really only off-color stuff that you need. And then if you just fetch correctly, you're playing a lot of mountains.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have a swamp in there,
Yeah.
if you're not playing any blood crypts, right? Because you do need the black sword
You
for
do
the
need the Black
munitions
Sword for
expert
the
and just
Munitions
thing
Expert
blade.
and for Sling Blade.
But I mean, honestly, you're absolutely right that you could definitely get by.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's one of the better decks to get by too with all basics. I mean, the only non-basics that you're gonna have are Shodden Ports, which can be had for $20 for like the most recent printing version, as long as you're not going for the old borders. And the Wastelands could be had for 30 for its EMA printing, I think. Yeah.
Flashing back to Thoughtseize. Of
Yep.
course, we've been talking for a little bit here, but this Plague Engineer, I believe, has the Batterskull suited up to it now at this point,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so at this point, it is virtually unkillable for DAOs. The huge issue ultimately is that DAOs is not able to get enough bodies on board to make it so the munitions expert or the gemstone or the what is it? The gemstone incinerator are going to be able to deal the 6 points of damage. The one thing is, if we can get another body, in theory, we could double up.
I imagine that we kill Stoneforge here because we do deal 2 damage. I imagine that we kill Stoneforge
Yeah,
because Gem Palm is based upon the amount of goblins that you have on the board.
yeah. So there's 2 damage dealt there with this cantrip.
Yeah, because it has to go to a creature. I don't foresee the creature going to as Plague Engineer unless there really is enough to deal that much damage.
No, there unfortunately isn't. And letting the Thoughtseize resolved, we get to see a Mog War Marshal and the munitions expert.
It has to go somewhere. Where did it go? The Gem Palm actually has to hit something.
Yeah, and it was
Oh,
2
wait.
damage.
Yeah, you may have it deal. So maybe they just chose not to deal anything? I don't see why you do that.
Yeah, the Stoneforge in theory should be dead unless 2 damage would put on the Plague Engineer to make it to incentivize it not to attack. But even then, you still could attack into this 2/2 first strike and this 1/1 without worry. So I'm not so sure what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, I would have gotten rid of the Stoneforge, in my opinion. I mean, you never know if they plain draw a GT or if they brought in the
Oh,
sword.
it hit the Snapcaster Mage. That's what it blew up.
No, that shouldn't be. Chain Whirler came in.
Wasn't this Snapcaster just? Oh, I no, you're right because the Chain Wheeler came in off the vial, didn't it?
Yeah, Chain Whirler came off the vial to respond to the Thoughtseize being snapcasted back. So
Yeah, this is
I guess
interesting.
they chose not to hit anything. Or either hit. Yeah, there you go. See? Worried laughter.
Yeah, that's about all it takes. I mean, at this point, the Plague Engineer suited up is virtually
Mm-hmm.
unkillable. There was the line of getting out by having another body in play and going Munitions Expert and Gem Bomb Incinerator on the same turn, and then finally unlocking all of your X1s. But that Thoughtseize was really fantastic at breaking up that possibility and just basically slamming the door shut in this matchup.
Mm-hmm. And I hope, in this matchup at least, I hope Goblins brought in the Goblin Trashmasher, the Blood Moon. I would also say maybe a Surgical might be worth it at this point, or a Relic, just because you're noticing that Snapcasters are becoming increasingly more important. Ideally, you could also bring in a Pithing Needle just to name Stoneforge Mystic, or you can name even Batterskull if you're really that scared.
Is that worth it, really? Besides, like, other just bodies?
I mean, it just depends on what you're really scared of. I mean, I
Yeah, I
think
guess.
Trashmaster is great. I think Blood Moon's great. I don't think Tarfire is that great. I think Surgical's pretty good here because then you can just start ripping apart hands. Even if you hit like a Brainstorm or a Ponder, that really sets back Quirios as much as you can. Um, Fire Blast and Rev, I mean, they're good, but it just really depends.
I mean, they really only hit cantrips and any forces that are left in the
Yeah.
deck. Very likely just the Force of Wills. So I can't imagine that that's something that we want to do. You can also hit Snaps and Baleful Strixes in theory. We've yet to see a Baleful Strix out of Quirios, but we have to imagine that those are still in the list.
I
As long
imagine
with the
so.
Drown the Lock. Drown the Lock also feels like it's still in. It's just a very versatile one-for-one answer.
You also keep your
I'm
blue count up so you can pitch the Forcible, which we did see kept in.
Yeah. Well, Dow's is going to get to be on the play here.
One thing we don't
Are we?
consider, though, we can bring in Pyrokinesis. That's something that we haven't
Oh, that's
considered, really.
interesting.
It will kill Plague Engineers, and it'll also kill a Stoneforge Mystic. Or
Stoneforge.
you could just straight kill a Batterskull.
It feels
The
weird to
token.
2 for 1 yourself like that in this kind of grindy matchup. I could absolutely see it though, now that we kind of saw how great that Plague Engineer was.
I mean, it just really depends. I mean, Pyrokinesis is a make or break card. If you get lucky with it, you can hit like a Baleful Snapcaster, or you could hit a Baleful Stoneforge. I mean, it's a very versatile card, and it's
I
something I'm
am really
sleeping on right
curious
now.
what came out. I'm really curious what came out of this list when we saw that Goblin Chainwhiller staying in.
I imagine Sharpshooter came out, and I imagine probably a Skirt Prospector came out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, Chainwheel was pretty decent as a first strike. Does mass wipe their deck, because if they have Baleful Strixes left in, those all get hit and die. You do tag Stoneforge down to 1, and you do kill Snapcasters. So,
Yeah, at the same time, almost all the threats that he knows Quirios has, that equipped with Ajite isn't able to actually acquire counters in the face of the Goblin Chain Whirler as well, just because of 3/3 first strike. All right, the more we talk about this, I guess the more on board I am with this Chain Whirler.
yeah, I mean, it's a really good card. There are other things that take out first, like the Sharpshooter, because it just doesn't do enough. You could take out a Sling if you really want to, because you're going to be searching for a one of Sling Gang, really. It just really depends what you want to do. The Skirt Prospector is part of the Muxus combo, and we haven't really seen them, so maybe both or one taken out.
All right, well, we're gonna have to see what is going on with these players. It looks like there was some sideboard shuffling around. Some, I think, people changing what they were doing. After getting a little bit more information this previous game, and of course shifting who is on the play and who is on the draw.
Yeah, that's usually one of the best ways that you can start doing it, because you start messing around.
Now let's see. Are both players going to be able to keep their sevens this time?
It's highly possible.
It's what we want. Dallas, of course, being the one to be on the play here, we have to imagine. Doesn't seem like you want to be on the draw. We haven't talked about Dallas's play mat at all, but I do
I
love it
love
quite a
it.
bit.
I think it's supposed to be a Goblin playmat too. I don't know if it's an official
Yeah,
art or not, but it
a
is
variation
very
of some
cool.
form of Goblin King.
It is very, very cool.
Both players keeping their sevens. Dallas just going Badlands and pass.
I would assume this is a flooded strand go.
Does appear to be it.
Goblin, I would assume, and we're just gonna play a relic. So we did see the relic come in.
Interesting. I like this.
Yeah. At worst, it draws you a card.
Yeah, and also is very much better than Surgical in this matchup, it feels.
Yeah, we're gonna fetch. I imagine we're gonna get a Tundra here.
Seems like they could also get the Triumph if Quiros isn't looking to do anything at this end of turn,
That's
but
true.
is going ahead to gain the Tundra.
Very true. We haven't seen the Triumph yet, actually, now that I think about it.
No, we have not. We just not come up either of these games.
Yeah. I mean, at worst, it can cycle. If I'm not wrong.
And we finally see an owl. The Baleful Strix comes down and draws a card.
Yeah, ironically, one of the fun things about Baleful Strix is that people forget is it's also an artifact. So there are alternative things that can get rid of it, unfortunately, other than just getting Swords Plowshared or Fatal Pushed.
You can trash master that thing.
Oh, yeah. I've once disenchanted Baleful Strix. It was funny. Because they looked at him like, what are you disenchanting? I'm like, I'm disenchanting Baleful Strix. I'm like, it's not possible. I'm like, it's an artifact creature. It does have a subtype. Sorry to tell you.
I would be lying if I said I have not cast some Force of Vigors only targeting a single Baleful Strix in play. Doesn't feel the best, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes to get through for the last little points of damage.
But yeah. Sometimes you just gotta get rid of that Flying Death Touch. No, it's a 1/1, but sometimes you just gotta get rid of it.
It's a scary body.
Ooh, Meddling
And
Mage.
ooh, we see Meddling Mage coming in. I really like this. This is not something we expected out of sideboarding.
I wonder what we'll name. Aether Vial's a pretty good hit. Um,
If Douse had Aether Vial, you would expect it to already have been played, right?
yeah, I mean, sometimes you just don't draw it. Depends on what you're really scared of here. Probably Crater Maker. Losing your Baleful Strix really sucks. So, I would name probably the Crater Maker or Ringleader.
Goblin Ringleader. All right. Quirio saying, I do not want you to get ahead on value on me. Let's just play 1 for a while.
Yeah. I mean, anything's uncounterable here, so you really don't want to see it. Interesting to note we only have one colored source of mana so far, theoretically.
I don't know. That cavern kind of counts, right?
Kinda.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the
In
time.
almost all the cards in this deck, it does. Except for hardcasting Pyrokinesis or Mindbreak Trap.
Yeah. I don't think we're ever gonna hardcast Mindbreak Trap. I don't know about that one, Chief.
Nope.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
I'm just trying to say how much of a colored source this cavern is for this deck.
Oh yeah.
It gets everything for us.
Almost everything. You can't cast Pyroblast off of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what the Badlands is for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tapping out 4. Are we going to see a Sling game come down?
No, this is
Or no, this is double port. Never mind.
Yep. Oh, still we always have the blue mana somehow. So we got blue mana and a scrub open, so we got access to black still. Just swinging for 3 and just a little poke.
Crunch on in. That's a lightning bolt to the face right there.
Oh yeah. We do have 4 mana, but we can't really get past the Ringleader. We could get a Matron, in theory.
Ironically enough, I kind of wish if we had the Matron, having a Tarfire would actually feel pretty decent, right? Having the Tarfire come in from the board. I can't imagine that it did, though.
We get a Wasteland here. In theory, we could actually cut them off their mana sources and just have one island open. In theory. I mean, it's not very good.
Yeah, as we're just getting swung down for 3 damage every turn. It does look like that's going to be the line, though.
Here I would actually hit the... I would not hit... I would hit the Scrubland. I would hit the open mana source and force them to have no mana. I mean, I get it.
The Containment Priest you called out and while we were looking at sideboarding after that first game is coming in.
I mean, at worst, it's a flash 2 for 1 body.
I mean, it also makes it so Muxus is a lot less good.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we're seeing the port on the 2 dual lands, I imagine.
Yeah, I imagine. There's nothing else that we're doing with our mana. So we're just going to do both duels. We can't see anything else being done.
Oh, just...
we're going to do the port on the upkeep and then port on the draw step.
Ah, very nice.
That way you don't have double mana.
Yeah, one of the classic Death and Taxes tricks.
Always key to remember that your mana pool drains after every step. So you never want to double port them on the same step unless you really want to give them 2 mana. Honestly, if you're Dows here, you're really hoping to draw...
Another Wasteland.
No, I'd hope to draw Chain Roller.
No, yeah, I'm just saying that's the land that's
Yeah.
being played.
You can't really play it because of red stores. You need triple red, the downside of playing Chain Roller.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who, but there's I think it was Goblin Lackey 1 who likes to joke about how bad Goblin's mana base is, just because you have all these colorless lands, right? You got the full 8 of them.
Ooh, okay.
Sometimes you're in this situation where you can't produce 3 red if you do have that opportunity, or if you have the Chain Ruler in hand.
Ironically, we always forget the secondary mode of Crater Maker, which is deal 2 damage to a creature. Just throwing that out there. That is the secondary mode of it.
Probably you thinking we're going to be seeing that hit the Meddling Mage?
Yeah, try and get a Ringleader.
Yep. If it's in hand, that definitely seems like that would be the correct play.
That's what I imagine. We'll probably blow it up on our end step. On Quirius' end step, I imagine. Because there's not really much you can do about it.
Quirio's tanking at the moment.
I mean, it is
I
a
don't care.
tough match.
Well, it's kind of the opposite of what you would kind of expect, right? Where Quirios has been the one chipping in for little bits of damage, while they both are interacting with each other. Where Dow's is hindering Quirios' mana development and ability to fully cast all the spells, but Quirios has just kind of been like, got the meddling mages. We haven't seen any removal spells this game, which has been really interesting, and just doing the good old 2/2 and 1/1 beatdown plan.
Oh, yeah.
Brainstorming away.
They're truly in the tank now.
And there's choices to make. Dow's has 3 cards in hand at the moment.
And I don't think there's really any good way to answer the Aether Vial from Quirius, too.
Are you that worried about the Aether Vial right now?
Not yet. The longer that Aether Vial goes on, the more you're going to become worried.
Second card is put back, and this brainstorm has finished resolving.
Probably looking for a K command soon at some point.
Yeah, we have not seen a K command all match so far, and that is definitely a good card in this matchup.
That or Fracture.
You think Fracture came in when
I
you only
doubt
really
it.
have the vials to hit? Yeah.
It's only vials. I doubt it. Now, if it was French Fracture.
Oh, is that the
Very
one that can
different.
hit also? Yeah, that seems pretty amazing.
The misprint in French where it also says creatures. Very good card. Let me tell you.
It's just Corpse Knight all over again. You know what I mean? You got if you're buying a Corpse Knight, you got to make sure you get the 2/3.
Oh yeah. I still find that funny. Just imagine if WotC actually printed it. They're like, guys, we made a mistake in all languages but French. It's actually supposed to hit creatures as well. It's a black and a white. It's everything.
Sure, you as the dead guy AL player would be quite happy about that.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be like almost insta play, like main deck. It's basically Vindicate. Just
Except
can't hit
instant
lands.
speed.
Just can't
Yeah.
hit lands. That's it. I'd be playing Dead Guy Ale, land destruction deck at that point.
Just swinging in with the 1/1.
Mm-hmm. Trying to keep it back, trying not to blow yourself out, I imagine. Because I mean, we do have the mana sources for Munitions Expert here, and that will blow up any creature on the battlefield right now.
I don't know why I'm surprised that we didn't blow up the meddling mage. I suppose the only reason to do that at the end of turn is if you have the ringleader in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't imagine we actually did have it then. We did not go and blow up the meddling mage right away at the end of turn.
I mean, it's a difficult situation to be in. Thankfully, Cratermaker is a...
Yep. That was finally getting some damage in. We see Quirios going down to 17.
Incidentally, to note, I did forget the fact that Cratermaker actually doesn't say destroy target artifact. It actually says destroy target colorless non-land permanent. So you'd still have to deal 2 damage to the artifact.
Oh, it's the Baleful Strix? Yeah, that's right.
I always forget that fact.
Yeah, it can kill a Karn, right?
It can kill an Emrakul, an Ormcoil, and a couple other things. A Kozlak, I think.
It's a pretty good goblin right there.
Yeah.
Seeing Munitions Expert come down, I imagine this now is targeting the meddling mage.
I mean, I imagine so. Can't force it. Can't really do much against this. I don't know what's being played here. We have an XTP coming down or something? Can't counter this. Oh, we're gonna Fatal Push in response to the trigger.
And make it so less damage is dealt. I imagine that we were targeting one of the 2 toughness creatures there then.
I would imagine so. If we're doing that, I'd probably blow up Creator Maker then. Feel like I really want something dead.
Looks like hitting the munitions expert.
I mean, I imagine so.
I like this a lot just because this then puts Dow's in the situation where if he chooses to go ahead and still kill the meddling mage like he was initially planning, he is going to be down on both goblins. Where meanwhile, if Quirios had targeted the fatal push at the Crater Maker, that then just immediately prices Dow's into doing it, but then leaves him with a 1-1 back still. At least this makes it so if your meddling mage or your containment priest, whichever one's being targeted, if it is dead, it's leaving Dow's with no creatures on board at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I also noticed the Aether hasn't upticked. Something to note.
Oh, we did miss that, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Ideally, you hit the Volk here, I imagine. I mean, you could hit the Black Source too. I mean, depends on what you're scared of.
Electing to hit the scrubland.
Mm-hmm. And it's not going to matter anyways, unfortunately. Loaded Delta coming off the top, I imagine.
The thing is, now you can crack in for the full 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing the Crater Maker finally happen, and Containment Priest goes away.
Yep.
Oh, show me that land into Muctus. Let's do this. Let's do this.
I mean, you're really playing the Circus of Value at that point. I think what Melee Mage says you can't play it, right? Can't be cast, so it can technically come in Goblin Ringleader because you're not casting it with Muxus, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put them on the battlefield. The fun that comes with Muxus. Goblin Noble.
Grio's doing that table poke math.
Yep. Gotta think about it. I guess if you're curious here, you're really scared of Muxus coming down, having to deal with that.
I mean, that is what's been unlocked by this Containment Priest being killed.
I imagine here that you're going to probably fetch into a Thoughtseize. Probably. Right? Is that what we're doing here?
I mean, if you have the Thoughtseize, this feels like the time to
Apparently not.
go in on it. But
Okay,
nope.
now remember Aether Vial. Okay. We did remember the Aether Vial trigger.
Show us the land. Let's do this.
Oh, we got land.
Show
What
us
do
the
we
Muxus.
have? What do we have?
Come on, have the Muxus in hand, please.
I mean, if you have Muxus, I'd just be windmill slamming it here. They can't counter you. This would be a no-brainer, in my opinion. So they must not have Muxus. They must have only other things. Ooh, passing. What is in that hand? I would want to establish board presence at the very least. Especially if I'm at 7 life. I wonder if Dow's is thinking just to keep them off mana bases. Uh-oh. Hey, command. I don't like that.
Target Aether Vial, make Dow's discard a card, I imagine.
And yeah. That's my imagine. I can't see it any other mode. Goodbye, Aether Vial. And what are we discarding? Oh, we're bringing back Containment Priest.
Oh, that's good.
Why did you wait so long? Why would you do that? I would have blown that up on the end step.
Not the biggest deal in the world.
Hmm.
It does allow to get some mana value out of this Containment Priest, or making it cheaper than it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, that's why I would have done it on end step if I really cared to.
Port down of one duel.
Yeah, I think we're going to port down the swamp, I imagine.
I like that more than hitting Trop. Although then it's allowing the cantrips to still fire off.
I mean, in this case, I just don't want to get Thoughtseize. Or Drowning's locked. What are we casting? Starfire.
Oh, there was a Tarfire.
Okay.
That did come in for the Plague Engineers. And Containment Priest.
I'm assuming we're dealing 2 damage at, yeah. At the Containment Priest. I imagine that's where we're going with this.
Brainstorm response.
Looking for force. Can't be negation, it has to be will. Do we find the will?
1 card put back. 2nd card put back.
Nope.
And it's dead.
A will. This is a tough position to be in for Dows. I can only wonder what's in Dow's hand. I would have started actually putting down blockers at some point here.
I mean, it very much doesn't seem to be actual goblins, unless of course it could still be a goblin ringleader in there. But
at that point, I really would have liked to have played a goblin ringleader.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe it is a ringleader just because of how many how
many opportunities you could have blown up meddling mage at this point.
Exactly. If you had the ringleader, you wouldn't have blown up the containment priest, in my opinion. But again, I am not a seasoned goblins player. All right, show us a body.
We gotta cast
show us something that can trade.
We have to cast something at this point. Come on. Okay.
That's a body that can trade with a meddling mage.
Well, at least it's a body.
I mean, at this point, that's all we're looking for, right? We just need to kind of stem this bleeding. The Triome! We see the Triome, finally!
I'm a little confused why we were casting off of Cavern, Badlands, and I guess he's trying to keep up the double port?
Well, you need 2 red for the Goblin. It's generic red, right?
War Chief? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Correct. That's a rough situation. It does make your goblins cheaper if you live that long. You're not living that long.
That's sword lethal, right?
Sword lethal. You're not living that long. Sorry.
Oh, wow. What a fantastic match that we got to watch here. Quirios taking it down. Going to be going forward into the semifinals and facing down... Going to be facing down even on Hogak. Dow's really fantastic run. So Dow's was able to take down his entire pool, make it to the round of 16, win the round of 16, and make it to the top 8 here. Fantastic showing Dow's to make it this far. Quirios, let's see if you can take this all the way and go all the way to the finals. But again, really fantastic job to both of our players. Mr. Jack Dax, if I was watching this video and I wanted to get in on the next league, how could I do so?
Well, the best way to do that is to join our Discord in the description below. We also have our Twitch and Twitter link if you want to follow us on Twitter. And check us out on Twitch. We stream every Tuesday and Saturday. For the leagues, we do recorded streams like this, put up on YouTube, and you're going to be watching us. If you want to join the next league at the beginning of the month of July in this case, or July in this case would be the next time you get a league opening. We recently just started June. Every league starts the first Tuesday of the month. Usually the signups start for that month, the last week of the month before, typically. Once again, my name is Mr. Jack Dax, and I had a very lovely co-commentator, Oliver V, with me. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and hopefully you'll let us be your local meta.
Take care.